Welcome to the Montgomery County Department of Permitting Services podcast. I'm Gail Lucas, your host. I'm also the chief of the Customer Support and Outreach Division here at DPS. Joining me on the podcast today is Brian Bomer, and Brian has a big title. Let's see if I can get it right. DPS Sustainability, Energy, and Mechanical Manager. Brian Bomer.
Good job. You got it. Thank you. Glad to be here today.
Brian, you're going to talk to us about some exciting stuff going on in Montgomery County with respect to sustainability and solar, which is on everybody's mind right now.
Absolutely.
DPS just launched a new eSolar program for residential rooftop solar panels. Can you talk to us a little bit about that program and what that means for our listeners?
Absolutely. So our new eSolar program, very exciting, as you mentioned, focuses on basic residential rooftop solar installations. And the goal is to essentially issue a near instantaneous permit for projects that are compatible with the program. So we actually partnered with, in this particular situation, the Department of Energy's NREL, that's the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and their software, which is called Solar App Plus. Our program is designed to accommodate any different platform, but right now the only one that's on the market is the Solar App Plus. So what happens is that a solar installer would go and get qualified with Solar App to use their software. Once they go through their program, they have access to the Solar App platform where they would apply for a project approval. And essentially what they're going to do is submit all the information about a particular project here in Montgomery County, again, a residential rooftop solar installation. Solar App software is going to determine whether or not that project is code compliant and is going to issue them an approval document. And the wonderful thing is that the project manager has to bring that documentation to the Department of Permitting Services website, denote in the application process that they're using eSolar services, and we will issue them a rooftop solar permit nearly instantaneously. So they can go ahead and get started on construction immediately.
It's certainly the same day.
Certainly the same day.
The same moment when they hit enter.
Yeah, we only hope to improve the process over time to a point where we can almost get that instantaneous. But yes, our intent is to do it as quickly as possible and absolutely same day.
Okay. Two of our top priorities in DPS are safety and sustainability. And we've talked about both of those things a lot on our podcast. What does this do for Montgomery County residents? How does this fit into the priorities of DPS?
I think first and foremost, safety is always most important. And one of the things that took us a while to get to this point today with the eSolar program is that we wanted to vet the process to make sure that it met our rigid standards here in Montgomery County. So over 2 years ago, we started this endeavor. We worked closely with multiple jurisdictions across the United States to get feedback on the process, to see what worked for them and what didn't work for them. And then internally, we relied on all of our experts to work closely with the software to make sure that it was catching all the same things we would in a standard review. And once we were at a point where we felt comfortable, we rolled out the pilot program. So I think what this does is it ensures that safety component, which is always top priority for us here in Montgomery County. Sustainability is definitely something that you're hearing a lot about in the county. We published the Climate Action Plan about 2 years ago, and that was a large countywide document that really, for the first time, laid out the roadmap for Montgomery County to follow different elements of sustainability to reach some of the goals we had set forth, such as the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, electrification of buildings, residential rooftop solar, increase of residential rooftop solar, amongst many other topics. So one of the things that we recognize is that as we continue to push the energy code, so I'm in charge of the commercial energy code here at Department of Permitting Services. We have residential energy code also. But as we push the energy codes, one of the things that started to become evident is that solar was a major component of that. The requirement of solar on these projects. So that's residential or commercial. So this particular program, eSolar, aligns well with us being more aggressive by requiring residential rooftop solar, but allowing an easier path of compliance. Because these are separate permits.
Right.
You build the house first, you have to get a permit for that.
Right.
And then you have to come in later and get a solar permit. So anything we can do to streamline those processes or expedite those processes only helps the folks in Montgomery County.
Expediting the process is important. Safety and sustainability is important. But our listeners want to know the bottom line. Why is it important for me? Why is it important for our listeners to have eSolar? What's the cash bottom line on that? Is it really going to save me money?
So time is money, and this does save time. We already do a really good job here in Montgomery County with residential rooftop solar turnaround, but there's always room for improvement. So right now, our objective or our goal is 5 days. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. We have workload fluctuations, and sometimes it can be a challenge. We heard from the industry, and it is something that is consistently discussed at the national level, is that one of the largest barriers to starting a project is permitting.
Okay.
So that's why Solar App was created, again, by NREL, the National Renewable Energy Lab, which is a federal organization.
Sure.
They wanted to find ways to help jurisdictions expedite the solar process. While we do have a very quick turnaround, again, there's always opportunity for improvement. And we also have the resources here in Montgomery County to experiment with a program like this. And so it was a win-win for us to work on this pilot and honestly help introduce it to the region. So the cost of Solar App Plus is about $25, give or take a few bucks. I don't remember the exact number. Once a project pays that fee, they come to our website to apply for the solar permit. It's standard permitting fees for us because we still do some technical review of documents to make sure they submit the right document.
Right.
You know, people accidentally upload their family photo to us occasionally.
Occasionally.
Yeah, it happens. Additionally, we still run inspections. So we still have to make sure that we can cover the cost of inspections.
All right, Brian, I hear you talking about sustainability, safety. This all meets with our climate action plan. But for a homeowner, I want to make sure that it's cost effective for me. We've talked about, or folks have heard about solar panels being more cost effective on their energy bills. But is it a cost effective process for me? Talk to us about what fees are associated with applying for eSolar, applying through eSolar.
Absolutely. So there is a fee associated with the use of Solar App.
Okay.
And that's about $25. And that cost covers whatever Solar App has to do to maintain their website.
Okay.
Once the applicant receives approved documentation from Solar App, they come to our website to apply, and we still charge our standard flat rate fee for this solar permit. That covers our inspection costs and all of our administrative costs.
And that rate was set some time ago. It's a very low flat fee set some time ago by our county council and our county executive, working with DPS.
That's correct. They tried to set a flat rate so there wasn't any fluctuation in cost associated with rooftop. It was an attempt to help normalize and lower the costs.
Absolutely.
So this still maintains that same cost level for us here at Department of Permitting Services, and it said a nominal fee to access the Solar App software. Ultimately, the objective is to shave time off the process. So we all know that money is time, and time is money. And so going from maybe 7 days for the permit application down to a single day can get that project started quicker. So the homeowner gets solar on their roof faster.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
The installers can do a quicker turnaround and just get more projects in a shorter period of time. So this was actually something that the solar installers have wanted for years and was actually asked for by the industry. So we're trying to meet their needs
Right.
as an alternative way to comply with the codes.
Absolutely. And I would note for our listeners that we're talking about residential rooftops, but I want to remind everybody that other types of structures like 4-story townhouses, which are residential structures, people live in them, but are considered commercial construction for DPS, are still eligible for this program. Is that correct, Brian?
So this eSolar services is only for residential rooftop. And so unfortunately, right now, the way the program is written, because the codes change from a residential structure to a commercial structure, the Solar App Plus software is not compatible with the commercial requirements. So this really is for residential right now.
But customers can still apply for rooftop solar on 4-story
absolutely.
townhouses.
Yep.
Correct.
They can go the standard
the
process.
That's
correct.
App to do that. Okay.
Yep.
That is helpful to note. We talked a little bit about what your big job here is at DPS. Can you give us a little bit more information about what your role is? What does the sustainability, energy, and mechanical manager do in DPS?
Still trying to figure some of that out, actually, a lot. So I'm really lucky. We have a small team. There are 8 of us, including myself. So again, if you think about the titles, sustainability, energy, mechanical, sustainability aspect are fun, exciting projects like this, but also the International Green Construction Code.
Okay.
The energy component is the energy code. So currently in the current code cycle, we're on the IECC, the International Energy Conservation Code, but we have some pretty exciting things that we're introducing in the next code cycle, which we anticipate starting sometime this summer into early fall. And we're actually going to be moving to a new standard, which is the ASHRAE 90.1. And last but certainly not least is the mechanical team. So we have 2 folks here on staff that are dedicated to the IMC, the International Mechanical Code. And so lumping all of those together, you start to see that there's a lot about energy and process and better buildings that are all happening within our group.
And this is a nice segue into talking about there are new codes, or there will be new codes that are coming up. About when do we think we're going to see new codes?
Yeah, so the way that the code cycles work in general is that the larger ICC, the International Code Council, publishes new codes approximately every 3 years.
Okay.
And the state adopts those codes with slight amendments within, on average, 18 months of that published date.
Yes.
Once the state adopts, the jurisdictions, such as Montgomery County, have approximately 12 months to adopt any of the amendments that they want to make towards these codes. So right now, we are looking at adopting the 21 code cycle. So if you think about that process in reverse, the 21 codes were published around March, April, May of 2021. The state took a little bit longer this last time because of some very high-level technical issues. Well, not really issues, but some new laws that were passed. They wanted to make sure they got them right.
Okay.
So they adopted the 21 codes in the end of May 2023. So now we have a year to adopt, and we're on target to introduce these amendments and the proposed codes to council. So we're looking at the 2021 built suite of building codes to be adopted this summer.
And energy codes, sustainability codes, green codes are going to be a very big part of that. Yes?
Absolutely. So for the first time ever, are trying to adopt the green code in the same cycle as all the building codes.
Yes.
Previous years, it's been delayed. And it's been confusing for folks because you have all these other codes that are adopted, and then a year or 2 later comes along the IGCC, the International Green Construction Code. So we're very excited to get that all pulled into alignment in this code cycle.
As we wrap up, do you have 3 tips for our listeners for using eSolar, or the importance of using eSolar?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, you want to work with your installer. So ask your installer about eSolar, make sure they're using the services.
Right.
Secondly, this again puts us in alignment with our climate action plans. We want to get as much solar on roofs as possible. So if you have any questions about how this works, please reach out. We're happy to help answer those questions. And I think the last thing is that, really what we're doing is trying to design a program to make things smoother and quicker. And so please take advantage of it. We're here to help.
Thank you for joining us today, Brian. For folks listening, you will get all kinds of notice when DPS begins to put new codes into place. We will have open houses. We will have meetings where you can come and talk about your concerns or ask questions. So don't fear. You will have a whole bunch of notice and you'll be able to come in and talk with folks about the new codes, particularly the energy code. Remember, DPS is here to help you, our customers, succeed. It's important to know when to get a permit and why permits are necessary. If you have a question about the permitting process, you can reach out to our customer support team at 311 or 240-777-0311. Or you can stop by the DPS offices at 2425 Reedy Drive. We're on the 7th floor. We're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. And there's always someone here that you can talk with in person to get answers to your questions and to get help with your application process. Got an idea or a question for an upcoming podcast? We want to hear from you. Email your ideas and questions to dps.podcast@montgomerycountymd.gov. And if you found this podcast helpful, please share it with others. We like listeners, and subscribe so you can get our latest episodes. Until next time, I'm Gail Lucas. This is Brian Bomer. Remember, DPS is your project partner.